If you don't have to worry about it too much. If anything needs to be cut out, I'll just edit it out. So
yeah, you're better at editing than I am.
Oh man, that's I mean, if I'm better than editing than you are, then that's not good.
Yeah, a few years back, I actually did some Twitter posts about the whole E3 when God of War was revealed and Horizon Zero Dawn. I think it was back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
So E3 is always something for most gaming channels to pick up upon since it's content. Except the only bad thing about it is, everyone and their grandmother is reporting it, so you're really doing it just for your own fans and not for getting more popular on YouTube.
Right. All the double-digit fans that we have between us.
Yeah, I think I'm close to 26, 28.
I'm at like 83 now.
I wish I could be at 83.
I don't know how I did it myself. I just kept posting stuff.
Yeah, YouTube's algorithm is really bad nowadays. You need to have at least videos that are like a half hour long. You need to basically push out your content every day. It's like... I know people treat YouTube like a real job, but... Yeah,
I mean, you have to post every day. Like, videos have to be 10 minutes or more, etc., etc.
Nowadays, they prefer it's closer to the half-hour mark.
Really?
I've noticed that a lot of videos lately that get put out are between the 20 and 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know if I can stretch reviews that long.
I don't know if I don't know if I can shorten my videos to that size. Usually when I upload a video about gaming and such, it's most often within at least 40 minutes and up.
You just kind of have to try to like record in 20-30 minute chunks and then just upload the raw footage, I guess.
Yeah, I could do that. I mean, with the what was it? The Stardew Valley one. That one was like 1 hour and 40 minutes.
Was that all just raw gameplay?
That was just pure raw gameplay.
Oh my gosh.
I went from the beginning of the game up till 4 days in when the parsnips were finally done and I could be collected. And that took like an hour and a half apparently.
Yeah, I mean, if you spend most of your day in Stardew Valley, from sunrise to sunset, usually days take about 8, 9, 10 minutes.
I think I've read that a full day from like dawn to the very edge of 2 hours is like 15 minutes.
It's very long day, yeah.
That's almost a minute per hour, so to speak.
I mean, it's kind of tough to stay out till 2 a.m. until you have the sauna unlocked.
Or you're just very lucky with your food.
Or they, I mean, you could make food too. I think they changed it so that if you just lay in bed, it regenerates your stamina too. So I guess you can technically do that.
But that's a lot slower than doing it in a sauna. The sauna, on that note, works a lot faster, but you could essentially, in the first days before you unlock the sauna, you could use the bed, but I think it's not really cost effective because you're wasting essentially a lot of time to regain energy.
It takes a while to unlock the sauna though, that's the problem.
On the second day of summer, isn't it?
I think you had to, I mean, it's been a while since I played, but I think in order to open it up... Oh, yeah, you're right, because there's an earthquake on the second day of summer, and it opens up the path. Oh, yeah. For some reason, I was thinking it was one of those bundles.
Yeah, no. Usually the mining bundle is the easiest one to get.
To unlock the quarry.
Yeah, the quarry. Yeah, I haven't played a while in myself. I mean, it's fun. It's also fun. It's more fun with friends, but there comes a point that you've kind of are getting repetitive. I use mods. I won't deny that, because there needs to be something to make it more interesting, so to speak.
I mean, if you've got it on PC, you might as well.
Exactly, and there are some of those quality of life mods, like putting a chest, automated chest, putting a chest near one of those furnaces, and you put the raw ores into the chest instead with the coal, and it automatically goes into the furnace. I like that a lot better than having to check the furnace every fucking 20 minutes or something in the game.
Yeah, that sounds frustrating. But, I mean, you have to consider that the game was made in order to, eat up all your time. There's all these extra steps so that you have to be kind of efficient in what you choose to do day to day.
Yeah, that's true, but I mean, I like my quality of life mods.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's the same thing with No Man's Sky. I know there's a few quality of life mods I wish the PlayStation version had, but dear God, the fact that the game is $20 more on PC is just outrageous.
I mean, I told you. You can probably find good cheap CD key somewhere, but
I did. I looked at the King Wing, the site that I told you about during your stream, and it's $25. And I mean, that's a lot cheaper, but
paying for it twice.
Yeah, I'm essentially paying for it twice, and I don't think. I mean, I have bought several games on PlayStation and on PC because I really like the game. No Man's Sky, I have it on my wish list, but it has to be a really good sale, or some friend is gonna gift it to me for my birthday or something, but I'm not gonna buy it that easily.
Just keep it on your wish list.
Yeah. Just like all the other games that I might never play because they're on my wish list.
Speaking of that, I have a huge backlog. I think we discussed that too on the stream the other day. It's like we both have huge backlogs of games to get through. Gosh.
I have like 300 games on Steam alone. It's like, oh my god. Well, I partially blame my friend for it, because during Christmas, I think it was in 2015, 14, he bought the Nordic Games packet, and that was like one of those really big bundles that Steam had back then, before they changed their sales all around. Because then you still had daily sales back then and all that, and they had those really big ass bundles that were like $80-$70, and he bought one of those. And well, Steam refund didn't exist yet, and they were all games that I will never goddamn play. Like they had games like The Guild and Painkiller and just general shit that I don't know and don't play.
One of the things with the bundles is that they, especially like Humble Bundle and Fnatic and stuff, like they always put in all these, they always kind of lure you in with one or two games, and then they offload all their crappy CD keys. these other like completely off-brand like indie titles and stuff you've never heard of. And
usually the game that you really want is the highest price option, like the one for $15. So that you essentially have to buy everything else in order to get the game that you want. Yeah, Humble Bundle is great, but sometimes at least you can still gift away Steam keys. So that's if you have a friend that happens to want that game, that's easy. But sometimes you don't.
I mean, from time to time they put up some really good bundles. Like there was that Sony Vegas bundle. It was like 10.
The Magic bundle.
Yeah.
I bought that, and then there was a second one later which had some of Magic stuff in it. I think it had the Music Maker at least, but it also had the Sony Vegas Pro.
Yeah,
that's a goddamn good bundle. That's like nearly $1,000 of software for just $20.
Yeah, and I realized as I started to use Vegas more, why they did it is because they're constantly pushing upgrades every time you open it. It's like, hey, you want Vegas Pro 15? You pay $200.
Have you tried checking that little checkbox in the corner of "Don't show me this again," and then found out that the next time you boot it up, they show you again, regardless?
Mm-hmm. Also, sometimes they'll just show you something completely different too. The old bait and switch.
I keep checking that little box from "Don't show me this shit again." Next time I open Vegas, it shows me again. Like, don't fucking listen.
It's pretty frustrating.
But it's a small price to pay compared to how good Vegas Pro is, especially when you've previously used Adobe Premiere, which is like slow and sluggish, and oh my god, why did I ever started with that?
I used a free one called Lightworks. It has like a red shark on the icon. It's really weird. I had a lot of issues with Lightworks. Like, a lot of my early stuff is really bad, so being able to upgrade to like an actually well-coded video editor was a huge deal for me. So a lot of my stuff became much better.
Yeah, it's a basic and major upgrade for you, so that's always good. In my case, I pirated Adobe Premiere Pro.
Ooh.
Yeah, don't steal games and video programs, kids.
Yeah, you probably shouldn't admit that either. have the Adobe ninjas crash through your window?
Well, I doubt they'll find me. but yeah, it's just the fact that Adobe is overpriced, which we all know. It's pretty much the Apple amongst programs, so to speak.
It's the Apple, it's the Linux, the Windows, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Compared to, because I think it's probably the same age, like 214 to 215, and Adobe was just so much more sluggish. It took such longer time to render as well. And now that I'm working with Sony Vegas, it's like within a half hour I can get my video done, except when it's an hour and a half long.
Yeah, I mean, the rule of thumb is usually, at least in my experience, you gotta add like at least 2 times the amount that your video came out to get the rendering done, minimum.
Well, the Stardew Valley one, for whatever reason, decided to be 6 hours long in rendering.
Oh my god, was that? You said it was like an hour and a half, right?
Yeah, it's like 1 hour and 40 minutes, if I recall right, and it took 6 hours to render.
Well, let's go ahead and get into the meat and potatoes of this podcast. Well, first off, we should probably like do an intro because we're like 20 minutes late on that. I'm Chunky Beef, and this is Nighthawk with zeros and X's. With and stuff, zeros.
Right? Well, on Steam it's with X's because somehow that fucked up, but yeah, it's just zeros.
Wait, you have to put it in. How does it fuck up?
Well, that's the story of me trying to make a Steam account for the first time, making it 0, Nighthawk 0, and then never getting the email to confirm or anything. And I've tried several times to get it, but nothing. So eventually I just made a whole new account, and that went just fine. I'll never know what actually happened, but this was like back in 2012 or 11 or something, when Steam was still young and not filled with a buttload of indie games that are all the same, and oh my god.
All right.
Before the floodgates were opened.
All right. So we're gonna go ahead and start from the top of the list and work our way down, because I have this ordered specific way. Let's start by dipping our toes in the kiddie pool. We're gonna talk about Pokemon Let's Go, Pikachu, and Eevee. The most interesting to me in the trailers is that they have a Pokeball Joy-Con controller, which I don't think they even have a price for that yet, which is the funny thing.
expect it to be like 50 or 70 bucks at least.
I know, like, I expect it to be at minimum like 30, 40 bucks.
It's also the first different Joy-Con for the Switch. They still have the two that originally came with the Switch, and there's nothing else. This is the first new different controller for the Switch. Unlike with the Wii U and the Wii itself, where you had like different attachments for the controls, this is just one new thing, and it's a Pokeball with a button.
It's not in like a joystick, yeah.
It's not even a joystick. You can't probably use it for anything else but for Pokemon Let's Go. So that's if it's really 50 or 70 bucks, that's a really costly expansion for a game that you probably play once and never again.
I mean, I think it's pretty interesting, but they're gonna have to price that really good to sell people on that. It kind of seems like a pointless peripheral to me, but I kind of see why they did it, because it's supposed to be like kind of a thing with Pokemon Go, and that you can actually bring your Pokemon from Pokemon Go into the new game, and there's I don't know if they've completely replaced the traditional capture controls where you can just pick the Pokeball and it throws it and then RNG. But it looks like there's a Pokemon Go. Sorry, go ahead.
From what I've read and what I've seen so far, the catching mechanic in Let's Go is exactly the same as in Pokemon Go. So you throw a Pokeball and hope for the best.
And that's got to be super frustrating. I can see that not going over very well.
I mean, in the original games, the traditional ones, you also throw a Pokeball and hope for the best. But at least then you have lowered the Pokemon with its health or put it to sleep or whatever. Here it's in the overworld of the game, you can actually see the Pokemon run around. You can pick which one you want to catch. So that's a great thing. Mm-hmm. No more grinding for that one elusive Pikachu that never pops up in Viridian Forest.
Well, yeah, you start with one.
Well, yeah, but metaphorically speaking. No more grinding for wanting that one Pokemon, and I guess that's also better than Pokemon Go itself, because you have to hope that something pops up, but you just walk into them and throw the ball and hope for the best. No battle or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, they have said there will be 4 attacks like the traditional game, but I think that's purely for trainer battles and not like catching Pokemon, because from what we've seen, you don't fight the Pokemon before you catch it. You just go ahead and catch it and hope for the best.
Yeah, that's pretty silly to me.
Yeah, I don't like that fact. But as I've said many times already outside of this video, this is just an attempt to revitalize Pokemon Go and get the hype train rolling again. And it's the first 3D Pokemon game for the Switch, but a year later we'll get the actual traditional Pokemon game and everyone will have forgotten about it.
I mean, it just seems like a very elaborate thing for them to do, to make a whole game specifically to try to revitalize Pokemon Go. Like, that seems like a huge money sink, like a huge investment for them.
Yeah, that's true, but that's also why they focused about making it in Kanto, the original region where everyone has started in the red, blue, and yellow games. Mm-hmm. And you can have your Pokemon follow you around or even ride your Pokemon. So it's more than just revitalizing Go. They want to lure customers in with nostalgia about the red, blue, and yellow games also.
I mean, that makes sense. Most people have played in the Kanto region at some point in their lifespan, especially if they played a Pokemon game. There's red, blue, and yellow, like you said, fire red, leaf green, gold, silver, crystal, and heart gold, soul silver. You've been able to play in Kanto in quite a few games, so I mean, it makes sense for them to go for Kanto, and no matter how much people want to complain about it, because I've heard a lot of people complain about it.
Well, I'm not surprised that people are complaining about it, because people want the traditional Pokemon game, and this is not the traditional Pokemon game. This is not like Black and White or Sun and Moon. This is nothing like that. It's similar in the sense that you have the overworld and that you can have a storyline with Team Rocket apparently again, and that you can travel through Kanto and meet all the gym trainers and all that. But it's basically a beefed up Pokemon Go, in my opinion, or rather what Pokemon Go should have been.
Right. I agree. I agree completely. That's the funny thing. But you notice how quick they were to tell us that there's another Pokemon game, like a more traditional Pokemon game coming out next year.
They probably expected the backlash of fans.
I mean, they got backlash, so it's definitely smart for them to have prepared for that because.
And it's understandable because, like I said, people want the traditional Pokemon game, but also because, well, a lot of people got burned by Pokemon Go. Everyone and their grandmother were playing it, but there were so many problems with the game, like GPS not working, Pokemon not popping up, and worst of all, the Pokestops being as really weird places, like places that you don't want your kid to go to.
I joked about that in my last video, actually, about how Nintendo doesn't want to make a Pokemon MMO because they're afraid pedophiles will talk to kids, but they're totally fine with people getting shot playing Pokemon Go. Especially when the closest thing we have to a Pokemon MMO is Pokemon Go. Because apparently Nintendo is terrified that pedophiles might talk to kids in a Pokemon MMO, but are totally cool with people being shot and killed playing Pokemon Go.
I think several Pokestops are like churches and such, and churches are fine. But they're also red light districts, military bases, and really, Nintendo, you're gonna have Pokestops there for where children may want to travel to?
It seemed like they had a very basic level of, actually screening Pokestops that get applied for.
Yeah, because I probably have to blame the developer in this, which is Niantic Games, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if they've done anything to fix this since then, because I haven't played Pokemon Go since, like, a few weeks after it came out.
Yeah, same.
I had no motivation to play it anymore. I mean, not because I didn't want to walk around and like capture Pokemon and stuff, but just simply for the fact that it was just not what I was expecting it to be. Like, it felt to me like they released 20% of a game.
That's very generous. I was 10.
You would have said 10.
I mean, the player customization is bare bones. You're essentially always the same person, whether you're female or male, at least. The first Pokemons that you catch are, well, a lot of fucking Pidgeys.
I mean, player customization has always, I mean, it hasn't really been a thing since, like, what was it? It wasn't Black and White, it was like
Sun and Moon.
Sun and Moon.
I think Sun and Moon came out with the customization.
Yeah.
And I still applaud them for that, because while I do like the characters from, well, the protagonists from previous games, Pokemon is really about getting that sense of immersion for the kids, that they are the trainer, and I don't think you get that when you don't have character customization in there. So I'll still applaud them to that, but with Pokemon Go, it was like, well, maybe you can change the color of your shirt, and oh wait, there's no other shirts.
I think you can change like your backpack too, stuff like that. Like, there's different color stuff, and it was very bare bones last I saw. I don't know if they changed it.
It was very bare bones. It was like GTA Online bare bones, and that's putting it nicely.
Oh man, I think GTA actually comes out on top of that one.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, I don't expect Skyrim levels of character creation. I would like some more uniqueness, that you don't look like everyone else, which is what Pokemon Go had, everyone looked like everyone else.
Kind of makes you wonder if they're trying to tell us something.
We're all mindless drones.
You're not special. You're just like everyone else.
Considering some of the stuff that happened back then, like I think there was a Charizard that popped up at Times Square or something. Or wait, no, in that big park in New York, in Central Park, and there was one particular Pokemon that popped up, and everyone was flocking to it like a massive crowd of mindless zombies wanted to catch that one Pokemon.
Yeah, there was. I remember hearing about that. There was like a big stampede of people.
Yes. It was all over the news.
And I think the funny thing is, I think for a little while, people started doing it as like a joke, just to see if they could get people to stampede playing Pokemon Go.
Yes, I've seen those videos as well. Like they're saying that there's a Charizard over there and people should try and get it. and within 10 minutes there was like a flock of people going there and ending up disappointed, of course. But oh my god.
Those were the good old days.
That was 2 years back, man.
Hey, as fast as things move these days, that is the good old days.
Yeah, but there was nothing good about it.
then they were just the old days. Those were the old days.
Back in my time.
Back in my time, we had to run across Times Square to find the Charizard.
Nowadays, you kids just get it on your fucking Wish.
Now you just use little Pokeball controllers and catch them on the Switch.
And coming back to Let's Go with the whole controller deal, eventually I hope they do decently price it, because what else are you gonna do with it? It's only designed for that one game. I don't think it will have any functionality in the new Pokemon game for 2019. And
I mean, if they're smart, they will.
If they're smart, but this is Nintendo. We're talking about the company that offers you for $20 an online pass with like 20 NES games and maybe some cloud saving, because you cannot back up your save games.
Because Lord knows we need to play Super Mario Brothers and Wrecking Crew for the 30 millionth time.
Indeed, and speaking about save games, I've read that with Let's Go, the save game will not be on the cartridge, it will be on the Switch.
Oh, I see what they're trying to do.
Yes.
If that's true, I see exactly what they're trying to do.
And knowing it's Pokemon, it will most likely have an online element to it, because we know about the co-op, but the co-op is most likely for just 2 players with 1 Switch in the same household, but I can see them expanding that to online. The game is also coming out around the time that they're introducing their online passes, so it all makes sense.
Like, it's all coming together. All the pieces of the puzzle are finally coming to play now.
Yes, we can put up our tinfoil hats.
So that means that the game is probably coming out about around the same time as Smash is, because Smash for the Switch, it's supposed to be like their flagship online title where they're like really pushing the paid online.
Well, yeah, because how else are you gonna play it online? Play it online, and that's the funny thing, because playing online is free for now. Because I know with Splatoon and all that also has online play, and they're gonna be cucked, because once the online pass comes in, they'll have to shelve their money towards Nintendo, because they want that $20.
Right. Well, I mean, if they're smart, which, I mean, this is Nintendo we're talking about here. My hopes aren't high. All the previous games that had come out before that should retroactively be able to be played online for free without the $20 price tag with the online.
Yes, that's what the smart person would do, but this is Nintendo. I don't expect that to happen. I really think that players are gonna get a paywall to go through besides the fact that they have been playing it for online for months before that.
That'd be a huge slap in the face to just be like, well, if you want to keep playing Splatoon 2, you better fork over $20.
And I expect that to happen because this is Nintendo. This is the company that wants you to join their program so that you can post Let's Play videos on YouTube. Without the program, they're gonna hunt you down and take down your videos with DMCA strikes.
Yeah, you gotta have Nintendo's permission to post Nintendo content. That's so silly.
It's maddening. I mean, I can kind of understand why, because the whole copyright thing and all that, but it's all under fair use. It's Nintendo.
They just need to get their shit together. That's really all there is to it.
Back when the Switch, the Wii U was released, that it wasn't really a grand release. They had a lot of problems with marketing and showcasing the console and letting people know what's on the console, and they all did that better with the Switch. The Switch launch was a lot better, so kudos for that. But back in my head, I knew that there was something that they were gonna do to mess things up, and here we are with an online pass for $20,
right,
which is considerably cheaper than what PlayStation and Xbox have.
Well, I think it's $20 for just the whole year. So I mean,
it is for the whole year, and for PlayStation, it's like $60 for a whole year, which, I mean, relatively speaking, that's not a lot. $60 for a whole year, but the difference between Nintendo and PlayStation and Microsoft, for that matter, is Nintendo gives you 20 NES games that everyone and their grandmother already have played. And well, why would you still want to play NES games when your brand new Switch that plays 3D games like Skyrim and Smash and Splatoon? Why would you still play Super Mario Land 1 and Castle Crashers or what's on it? and with the PlayStation, you get like 2 free games per month,
and they're actually good games too.
They're usually good. Well, there's the fact that a lot of the crap is also indie games for PlayStation. I sometimes regret getting some of those free games, but hey, it's free at least. And they'll be free until, well, you cancel your account. If you cancel your account, they're not free anymore, which is understandable in a way. I don't know how Microsoft does it, but I know that they have free games as well monthly. They're usually also for games that like only a year or 2 old. I mean, the last one which for PlayStation had a really big name was Bloodborne, and Bloodborne is not that old yet, and that's still a great quality game made for the PlayStation 4. And then Nintendo comes with their 20 NES games that are not made for the Switch. And
what, you don't want to play Metroid for the 50th time in your life? Come on.
No.
You don't want to use graph paper to make your 30th map of Zebes?
No.
Oh, what a party pooper.
Metroid was nice and all, but if you really want to talk about the good 2D Metroid games, we'll stick to Super Metroid for the SNES and the ones that you had on the Nintendo DS. Those were good games.
The Prime series, most of them were on GameCube, I believe. Were pretty good.
But those are 3D again.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about the 2D ones. I thought Fusion was pretty good.
Fusion was pretty good as well. So when comparing that to the NES one, to the original one, I mean, yes, it's the original one, but Super Metroid was better.
I mean, leagues. I mean, there's no reason for us to fight. I agree with you completely. Metroid 1 and 2 aged like milk, man. There's no way around it. They're both awful.
Exactly. So it would have made more sense if they offered 20 SNES games, because then you had like Super Mario All-Stars, which also includes the whole Super Mario 1, 2, and 3 from the original NES in Super Mario All-Stars, in Super Mario World's graphics. So that's a great improvement. You have Super Castlevania, Super Metroid, and all these games that were probably something a lot of more people would want to have free for on their Switch than these 20 NES games.
Yeah, but you know why they did that, right? Because they want to sell those SNES classics, man. That's exactly why they did that.
They sold the NES Classic as well, and that was like rice cakes over the counter. They were gone within moments, and then you found them on eBay for like 3-4 times the price.
They're doing another run this year of both the NES and the Super Nintendo Classic.
Oh Lord. I heard that there's probably gonna be a Nintendo 64 Classic as well.
I would definitely consider that if they have all the good games.
I would consider that as well, but secretly I'm kind of hoping to skip that and straight go for the GameCube one.
GameCube Classic. Oh my god.
And it's just the size of a regular GameCube.
I mean, if they put Super Mario Sunshine and all the Metroid Primes on there, those will probably sell like hotcakes. Like, they can put whatever else they want on there.
We'll sell the Wind Waker naturally. And
Wind Waker, oh yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people were complaining about Wind Waker back in the day, like, it's not like Zelda, it doesn't look like Zelda. And then years later, they discovered that it's actually a great game. Like, yeah, it was.
For a lot of the diehard Zelda fans, it's always like that. They call that the Zelda effect. Like, a new Zelda comes out, they shit on it because they hate it, and then the next one comes out and they're like, "Oh, Wind Waker was better." Like, Twilight Princess came out, the same thing happened. "Oh, Twilight Princess is awful. Wind Waker was so much better." Every single game, Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild. Actually, I think Breath of the Wild was the only one that the Zelda effect didn't hit. I think like there was a general consensus among casuals and like the hardcore fans that it was a really good game.
Breath of the Wild was really that one game that everyone liked, and then it suddenly had Nintendo fans going against Sony fans because of Horizon Zero Dawn. Because besides the fact they're two completely different games, and the only thing that they share is that you can hunt and they're open world.
Right.
Madness.
That's why PUBG's suing Fortnite. It's because there's vague similarities.
Yeah, since we have derailed from the Let's Go topic as well, we could probably go to the Fortnite versus PUBG. Oh, what a clusterfuck that is.
Yeah. On my notes here, it says, PUBG claims the Fortnite copied PUBG's user interface and several game items within the world, and they're filing suit to protect their copyright. I mean, I think that's just fucking silly, but personally, I think that a judge is gonna see the comparisons and he's gonna laugh him out of court. But
well, this is American court that we speak of. Anything can happen there. Don't forget that. But
I guess it depends on the judge.
Are they really that desperate to get more attention? Because I purely think that this is a cry for attention because Fortnite is getting more fans than PUBG is, and it's understandable because Fortnite is a more polished game compared to what PUBG on PC is right now. I've read some of the reviews on it. There's some people even saying that the mobile version of PUBG is better than the PC version.
That's sad.
That's sad.
I mean, I haven't played it, so I can't really say for sure. But I mean, if that's true, that's really sad.
No, this was a review from a friend of mine, so I trust their judgment in that. But that's sad.
But yeah, I mean, if you compare PUBG to Fortnite, like aesthetically and in terms of art style, like PUBG just looks like a giant steaming turd. I mean, I don't like playing either of the games personally. Like, Battle Royale as a genre is just not something I really got into, even though I've given it a fair shake. I played, I think, H1Z1 Battle Royale or something, or it was one of the earlier Battle Royale games. And I've tried Fortnite because, you know, if it's free, you might as well.
Exactly. It's free, so you might as well.
Yeah, and I just never got into it, but, I mean, just from what I've seen of PUBG and Fortnite just looks like a superior product, so it's no surprise to me that people are flocking to Fortnite as opposed to PUBG. Like, from what I've read, PUBG is losing people, but Fortnite is still growing.
Yes, well, And then comes the lawsuits, and this is not the first time PUBG has filed lawsuits against others, but those were mostly on the mobile market, and those were straight clear-cut copies of PUBG. So
Right.
I can kind of understand that, but we're talking about a genre. You cannot lay claim on a genre that you did not create, because Battle Royale already existed well before PUBG was a thing.
I mean, it'd be like DC suing Marvel because Deadpool's a ripoff of Deathstroke.
Yeah, but DC knows better than not to do that.
I mean, if I remember correctly, Deadpool was actually an homage to Deathstroke, just because the person who created it liked Deathstroke.
Yeah, I think that was Robert Liefeld, who's pretty famous for his eyes that are like stripes and feet that are... How the hell do you stand on those? Like the titular song of Linkara's show would say, Liefeld, you're not an artist.
Oh my god.
But if you look at Liefeld's more recent work, he actually does listen and does improve, so kudos to that. But yeah, I think with his creation of Deadpool, as how Deadpool originally was, Deadpool wasn't the fun, jolly, loving guy that most people know right now. He was far more serious, far more edgy, and yeah, he was basically a blatant rip-off of Deathstroke back then. And then other writers came in and gave him the more natural personality that we know nowadays, which is great for him, but he wasn't like that at all.
All right, well, before we move on to the next topic, in terms of the PUBG versus Fortnite lawsuit, fiasco, how do you think that's going to end?
Well, it's either going to go as you say, that the judge is going to look at it and laugh his ass off. Or what also could happen is Fortnite suing back for damages, because PUBG is basically trying to defame them because of all suing thing. And if you know about what PUBG has done with lawsuits previously, if you watch Jim Sterling, you would know, like, they even go about a frying pan that they have in the game that is apparently only for their game and no one else can have it. Are you really going that route? Apparently they also tried to lay the claim on the chicken
winner chicken dinner. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that. And yeah, it just makes me facepalm. So
well, I think for Fortnite they just say Winner Royale or something like that, I think.
Yeah, something like that.
I've never won a game, so I don't remember. All right, well, let's move on to the next topic. I think it's about time. Here's a big one. I'm sure I don't know how you are about this series, but I'm sure this is a big one for you. Fallout 76.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Well, here's my notes. Might take place 25 years after the Great War. Rumors are that it's not strictly a single player experience, but it's not an MMO. May take place in Virginia / West Virginia. It says it should still feature a quest / central story, but with additional survivor-based and multiplayer mechanics. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, let's talk about the whole Rust clone that people are worried about. They have come out to say that they will try to make it look more like New Vegas in terms of gameplay and experience, and it will naturally have a story mode or whatever, but I do think it will have that whole survival aspect of building bases and all that we've seen become popular with games like Ark Survival and all that. So I do expect something like that to happen, but basically with the story mode attached to it.
I mean, it's kind of vague for them to say, well, you know, our game is going to be kind of like New Vegas, like that's kind of what we're aiming for. To me, that's super vague, because Fallout New Vegas was just Fallout 3.
Especially without Obsidian at the helm, because we all know Obsidian is the one that made New Vegas great.
Mm-hmm.
So and they have openly said it's not us. We're not doing anything with this game. So I really wonder how well they're gonna hold on to that quote of we're gonna try to make it like New Vegas.
I mean, if they're smart, if they're really smart, at least in my opinion, they'll make it two separate things. Like, there'll be like a story-based single player where it's just like a PvE experience. There's like a story and side quests, and then like there's a separate survival aspect that's more kind of like, I guess you could say like GTA Online kind of.
Yeah, that probably could work, but this is Bethesda. I don't see that happening.
That'll be kind of tough, because if it truly does have like the building aspects to it, like a la like Fallout Shelter, like the settlement building aspects in Fallout 4, it'd be kind of tough to do it in that manner, because, you know, just dropping into an open world to have your stuff with you, like they'd have to either leave that out completely or just take like a completely different route.
Well, we can assume that we are from Vault 76, and that that's our starting base, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So we already have a point with a base, and probably have to get settlers for that. But I do fear that they're gonna lay a lot more focus on the building aspect that we've already seen grow with Fallout 4, especially with the DLC, with owning your own vault and all that, and building it up. So I do fear that we're gonna see more of that and less emphasis on the story. I don't think the story will be anything stellar. Not that Fallout 4 story was anything stellar, but this is probably less than that.
I mean, if they do it like Fallout 4, then they'll have more emphasis on like the story and the exploration, but it won't be mandatory, won't be necessary to do like the settlement building.
Yeah, I do think the settlement building will be a main role of the game.
I mean, if they do it like Rust and Ark, it's gonna be inevitable. Like, you'll have to build settlements and bases and stuff, but I mean, we won't know obviously till E3, but it's interesting that they would come out and announce it, you know, just like that.
I mean, I'm kind of glad that we're finally seeing some online aspects, because something like Skyrim or Fallout, it's something that, yes, I do think there would be more fun to it if you had some co-op experience in it.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the whole storyline will have to be adapted to the whole co-op experience, and as well as the fact how characters react to you and all that, which is something that will be difficult to pull off considering how the Fallout and Elder Scrolls games are. But I don't see it as something that's impossible, so I am genuinely curious as to how they're gonna pull it off with the whole co-op aspect and having multiple people on, well, wherever we land in.
I'm sure they've been thinking about that sort of thing for a long time, because if I'm not mistaken, they've been wanting to do like a Fallout MMO for a very long time.
Yes, the whole story with the Fallout MMO is there was one in the works, then Bethesda got the reins of Fallout, and the whole stuff with lawsuits and all stuff happened, and I think in 2012 was it that everything was resolved and they could actually go ahead with making a Fallout MMO. So it could already be a fact that this thing, what we're getting now, it has already been 6 years in production, as to, well, maybe not exactly in production like Fallout 4, but more in the sense that they've been speculating, working on it, coding it, at least for 6 years, hopefully. This is something new to Fallout, and considering the backlash that Fallout 4 got, despite it's a decent game, but not everyone was happy with the the story as to hunting after your child and how the dialogue options went. So not everyone was happy with that, but the gunplay was great. So I don't think they'll affect the gunplay much, but I really hope that they really put out their effort and make this into a good game as they hopefully think it will be. But again, we'll have to wait till E3.
Speaking of E3, here's the next topic here. Companies are announcing games before E3, even though it's only a couple of weeks away. Like I think less than 2 weeks now. So do you think that they're announcing these games ahead of E3 because of leaks, or do you think they just didn't make them into their the games didn't make it into their respective conferences, but they still wanted to announce these games anyway to build hype?
Well, it's already been a thing that companies are purposely leaking stuff before E3 happens to generate hype. So that's nothing new, but they're actually announcing things, and that might also be, well, E3 is a large thing. People are not going to see everything that E3 has to offer on those 3 days. It's like pretty big to walk through, and you have all these events happening right after each other, so it's impossible for journalists to get everything that everyone has to show. So I do think they are aware of that, and that's why they are announcing things ahead of time. Mm-hmm. But at least they're still keeping certain things behind covers. Like they're announcing a few things, but they're not openly announcing large things. Like with Fallout 76, it's just a teaser trailer, and we got nothing else about it all.
Right.
So in that aspect, that's pretty good because it generates hype. But then you have some people that are going to leak everything, and that, yeah.
Like as soon as, that's an interesting question too, because it seems like a lot of companies these days are purposely leaking their stuff.
That's definitely a factor, because I know from a few years back that it was exposed that companies were purposely leaking stuff to generate hype, and you could call it a scummy practice, but it's really a smart thing to do. But it feels so fake.
Like I think it's a smart thing to do as well, because it allows them to kind of gauge the reaction to these sort of ideas, which I'm sure probably backfires.
I mean, if your name is Hideo Kojima.
Oh my god, don't let me start on Kojima.
Because that's what was with the Metal Gear Solid 5 was like all these trailers that came out beforehand, and then you had this massive trailer during the E3, and then you find out with the game that they already pretty much showed everything in the damn trailers, and there was nothing new to experience almost in the story.
That's frustrating.
That's frustrating, and I haven't seen anything of that equivalent happen yet with this E3, but if one company was going to do that, that's like, yeah, what are you doing to your fans? You're giving away everything in order to generate hype, but by doing so, you're killing yourself because you have already showed everything. It's not a good business practice.
It's sort of like the video game version of movie trailers. Like for a very long time, people these movie companies were making trailers that were basically spoiling huge plot points and basically showing off the funniest parts of movies, or like the most important parts of movies, and completely ruining them. Like it's the modern version of the Soylent Green trailer. It's that equivalent, and it's silly to me because I watch a lot of trailers. I don't really think they've learned that much, even then, because they still do that shit in movie trailers, and now they're doing it in video games. Like it's ridiculous.
You and me as anime fans know this as well. Anime with the previews showing crucial plot points for the next episodes. Like, what the hell? Why would you do that? Especially like, the biggest example that I can give is Dragon Ball Super, like Vegeto's appearance in the Future arc, which was completely spoiled by the preview before it. Why would you do that? And of course, it was all to generate hype for the next episode, but in a sense, like, you're spoiling a bit too much, and there are people that legit hate spoilers and have the entire experience ruined by them. I myself, I'm not that big on spoilers. I don't mind them, mostly because my memory is just whack. It's like you tell me something, the next day I'll have forgotten it. So I don't mind spoilers too much. Sometimes when I'm watching a movie that got spoiled for me, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that being told. But other than that, I really don't mind spoilers that much, unless we're talking about Star Wars. I legit with the last Jedi, I legit went cold turkey. I didn't watch any of the trailers, none of the reviews. Wouldn't dare click on any video that had Star Wars in the title because, oh my god, there might be spoilers.
Oh gosh.
I wanted to experience this train wreck for myself, and I've seen it. I understand why people are not happy with it. I didn't mind it that much myself. It's like, it's a movie, relax.
You know, the funny thing, it's funny that you mentioned The Last Jedi, because I didn't run into any spoilers for The Last Jedi, and I wasn't any more careful with The Last Jedi than I was with Force Awakens. And of course, by now, spoiler alert, the big spoiler that circulated about around the time that Force Awakens came out was that Kylo Ren kills Han Solo. Like, they literally took a photograph from that particular scene and they posted it everywhere. Like, it was impossible to avoid it unless you literally went like the night of.
See,
so,
I didn't have that problem with The Force Awakens because for some reason here in Europe it airs one day before it airs in America.
Yeah, I think that's where a lot of the spoilers came from. It's like all the Europeans saw what happened and they took pictures of it.
On behalf of every European, I'm so sorry.
Alright, moving along here, before we get on too much of a tangent, like, holy crap, we went way off course there. Last but not least, E3 in general, what are you hoping to see? Like, is there anything specific you're looking forward to?
I am looking forward to see more of that new Spider-Man game that's coming exclusively for the PS4. I'm sorry for the other people that don't have a PS4 and won't experience this game, but it looks pretty damn amazing.
I'm cautiously optimistic, but
I'm cautiously optimistic as well, and that's why I want to see more of it, because I really want a good Spider-Man game again, which has become rare apparently.
When was the last time there was a good Spider-Man? It was like Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation, right?
Yeah, Spider-Man 2 on the PlayStation 2. That was the Arc de Triomphe for Spider-Man. I mean, Web of Shadows was pretty decent as well, but nothing really compared to Spider-Man 2. Not even Spider-Man 3, which was its sequel. You're supposed to think that sequels are better, but no, not this time. I mean, I like Spider-Man 1 as well, especially the tutorial stage with the voiceover. That was hilarious. But Spider-Man 2 was the definite 3D Spider-Man game during that era, and we haven't really seen a successor in the sense that surpasses that game. Web of Shadows has tried, but didn't succeed in that. So I'm really hoping for that unique Spider-Man experience again. And it's not tied to a movie this time, so that's even better for me, because we all know movie tie-ins never work out. And for me, the last two Spider-Man games that I played were the ones for the original PlayStation, which was Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 Enter Electro, so I love those games because there was really a lot of Marvel references in it. Like you had Carnage, Venom, but also Rogue from the X-Men, Professor Xavier, and that's also the stuff that I've been missing from the new Spider-Man games. They don't really branch out beyond Spider-Man itself. It's really contained, so I'm really hoping that we see a lot more Marvel in Spider-Man as well, which Disney has been doing that with the cartoons as well, like they're shoving Iron Man in everywhere, so who knows.
It'll be interesting to see for sure. Anything else besides Spider-Man you're looking forward to?
Well, I'm curious what Kojima will do with Death Stranding, if we'll actually get gameplay this time instead of cryptic videos about trailers and whatever.
Don't hold your breath.
Norman Reed is holding a baby thing that's leaking black ooze or whatever. I want a gameplay trailer, but it's Kojima.
I'm expecting more cryptic trailers.
I'm expecting more cryptic as well. And Kojima is great at doing cryptic, and I will admit his trailers are pretty damn great. He does know how to make a trailer. If they ever gonna hire him for the movie business, oh man.
I mean, it works for Kojima because Kojima has his name attached to it, and he's not afraid to be like, I'm making this game, I'm Kojima. So people see the name Kojima and they're like, they immediately sit up because everybody grew up with Metal Gear. So
yeah, exactly, and like with the Phantom Pain as well, back before it was revealed to be Metal Gear and fans were speculating that it was a Metal Gear game, the trailer that they made before it was exposed as Metal Gear the Phantom Pain, it had completely different music, completely different sound effects, and it was really something to get the fans to rile up and hype up to get, oh god, there's going to be a new Metal Gear game. And now we're going to the actual game, and it's like, oh well, I blame Konami a lot for what happened to Metal Gear Solid 5.
Let's not go off on a tangent here. We talk for another hour.
To get back to Death Stranding, yes, I do expect more cryptic, but I am secretly hoping for some game.
I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna hold my breath on it, but yeah, I can kind of agree. I'm curious to see what sort of game it's gonna be. Like, watch it be like a turn-based RPG. Like, how hilarious would that be? Like the biggest bait and switch in video game history. Like, it looks like it should be an action, like an action adventure game, and it turns out it's it's an RPG starring Norman Reedus.
Honestly, I expect it to be more like what Quantic Games has been delivering us with Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and recently Detroit Become Human. I expect it more to be like that, considering they try to be more storytelling. Kojima wants to do more storytelling, but we'll have to see. I don't expect gameplay. I'm secretly hoping for it, but yeah, it's Kojima.
All right, man. Anything else?
No, not particularly. I mean, Sony already announced that the PlayStation 5 is coming. But it will take a couple of years before we see anything concrete about that. So I don't think we'll hear a lot about that.
I mean, that's kind of the tradition for Sony to announce stuff at E3 and have them be like 3 years out. So
this is true. But the question now is, Sony has announced that the PlayStation 5 is coming. It will take 3 years or something like that, but it is coming. So now all eyes are on Microsoft, and what are they gonna do? Are they gonna reveal that yes, we're working on a new Xbox, or are they really going to go on what they have been doing with Project Scorpio and the what's it called now? The Xbox One X, I think. Yeah. So are they going to stick with that, or are they too going to announce yes, we're working on a new Xbox? So who knows?
I guess we'll find out soon. Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, and PC-wise, well, PC Master Race, so no need to worry about consoles there. But Yeah, I'm not really overly hyped of any games that are coming out. Like, we've heard Battlefield 5 is coming out,
Yep.
Black Ops 4, and yeah, it's the usual crowd, basically.
Assassin's
maybe-
Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, but I've gone off Assassin's Creed since 2, so
I've never played an Assassin's Creed game ever.
I'm curious about if Bethesda is going to announce more. Well, we know they're going to say more about Fallout 76, but they're also been working on this other game that's kind of like what No Man's Sky was supposed to be. They've been working on a different game. I forgot the name of it, but I hope to see more about that as well.
I think I know what you're talking about, but the name's on the tip of my tongue and I just cannot remember.
It starts with an A, and that's everything I know.
I don't even remember. It's been so long.
And there's also Anthem from, I think, was BioWare? Yeah,
Yep.
I think it's Anthem, which is also a game coming out, but it's apparently by BioWare, so yeah. BioWare does not have the greatest track record lately. So yeah, I don't think people are going to hold out for a lot of that. They have said that there is a Dragon Age game in production again, but I don't expect anything of that to be shown at E3 this year.
Anything's possible.
I've heard rumors of a potential Horizon Zero Dawn 2, so
Yep, I've heard about that. Yeah.
that might be nice to see.
I never played the first one, but I mean that's good for
Well,
fans.
you'd have to have PlayStation, and I mean, I generally hate exclusiveness because I'm the type of gamer that wants to have everyone enjoy their favorite games, but exclusiveness will always exist.
It's been that way since the very beginning.
It's been that way since Nintendo and Sega.
And even before that, I think.
Yeah, Atari had it too, but Nintendo really hammered down on it with the Nintendo seal of quality and all that.
Well, yeah. Well, back then they had to really give you a reason to buy their console.
But other than that, I'm not really expecting much of this year's E3.
Yeah, me neither. I mean, I'm looking at Nintendo. I mean, I've looked at Nintendo every single year. Sorry, I've looked at Nintendo every single year for E3. So
hoping that something spectacular will happen.
I mean, I can't remember the last time I wasn't disappointed, at least in some way. So I'm expecting that to be the case here for this year as well. Like, from all the rumors that I've seen come out, all the stuff that's been leaked so far, if most of that stuff is true, it's kind of like a combination of like, wow, that could be cool. Like, I talked about it in my E3 video, like the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening 3DS remake. Like, that'd be cool to see. I'd love to see that.
Link's Awakening was a great game, so that will be cool to see. I have heard the rumor of Metroid 4.
I mean, that's not a rumor. Metroid Prime 4 is coming. We know it's coming.
So hopefully they won't screw it up this time.
I mean, they've done some really weird stuff with the Metroid series. They just need to go back to the roots. Like, they kind of... It's funny because they did that. They did a 3DS, like, Samus Returns, I think. It was like a... I think it was a Metroid 2 remake, but don't quote me on that. Mm-hmm. But it was them going back to the roots, and it was great because I mean I don't remember hearing anything negative about it.
Yeah, I don't recall anything negative either. But that's the whole thing with Nintendo is they do good things, but then they do really weird things that makes me scratch my head.
Like they're always in that Miyamoto mindset where it's like, I want to do something a little bit different this time around, and then sometimes they just kind of like lose themselves, and then you get shit like Federation Force.
Sometimes it works out for them, other times it's like, really, Nintendo? Really?
Yeah, they definitely kind of just do whatever and hope it works.
The Switch worked out for them. The Switch is a great thing. And then you hear about you cannot back up your saves. Really, Nintendo? you could back up your saves on the Wii U, if I recall right, but you cannot back up your saves on the Switch. Really?
Oh, if you pay $20, you can.
But that's cloud saving.
I mean, it's still, you get to keep your saves.
Yeah, $20 a year.
And you get to play Super Mario Brothers too. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I guess. Well, Nintendo's lineup for this year's E3 is pretty well known. I mean, Metroid 4. They're coming with new Splatoon DLC, so I've seen.
Yeah, it's like the Octoling something or another.
Yeah, and of course we'll probably see more Smash.
I mean, I 100% expect them to do like what they did. I think it was like, I don't remember if it was a year or if it was like 2 years back, but they kind of put Smash new character trailers like kind of at the beginning and the end of their conferences. Yeah. I mean, it's a really smart thing for them to do because it drums up a ton of hype.
I just wish they would make a new Wario game again that's not WarioWare.
They have a tendency to kind of go for stuff that they know works. Would you quit? The dog keeps scratching herself. But they kind of go for what they know works, and that's why we have a billion WarioWare games, but we haven't seen a Wario Land in forever.
The last one was on the Wii, and that was a pretty fun game in itself, but it wasn't like the Wario games that we knew on the Game Boy.
Yeah, it seemed to lack the charm.
Every damn year we see a new Mario game, like new Mario, new Super Mario Brothers, new Super Mario Bros. They're gonna run out of names.
The new Super Mario Brothers.
and sometimes they'll give Luigi a cookie and get him a new game with a new Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, one of the rumors in the big E3 leak that happened a while ago was I don't know if they said it was gonna be like a remake for Luigi's Mansion, like the first one on GameCube, or if it's gonna be like a whole new one. But I mean, if the leaks are true, then there's something in the works.
I would prefer a new one because I'm getting tired of all these remakes that people are putting out lately. You have the Dark Souls remake, remaster. It's not even a remake. I mean, I'm fine with the Spyro ones because it's from 3 generations ago, essentially. So I'm okay with that. But we're talking about remakes that are not even that old, from games that are not even that old, and it's like, really?
I mean, well, at least they're packaging all the Spyro games together. So, I mean, that's
Thank
something.
God. But I'm actually looking forward to the Spyro. So, that's that.
I played the first one and I never really followed through.
I only played the demo, so it will be a complete new experience for me.
Man, I'm so looking forward to Spyro. I played like the 20-minute demo.
Yeah, but trying getting Spyro legitimate right now is like finding a PlayStation that still works.
Yeah, it's impossible. At least now you have something to play in terms of Spyro.
And I mean, the Crash Bandicoot remake was pretty well received, so I expect this to happen for Spyro as well.
Right.
But like something like a Dark Souls remaster, it's like, yeah, it's fine for the fans, but I don't care. I'm sure we're gonna see something about Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, that was in the leaks as well.
Yeah, and again, I don't care. I wish they were remaking Final Fantasy VI instead, because it's a better game. Fight me.
Yeah, and I don't know if you saw the leaks either, but like they're supposedly going to be announcing a Final Fantasy VIII remake too.
Oh God, not Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that Final Fantasy. Ooh, man.
If it was 9, I would have been okay with it. If it was 6, I would have been more than okay with it. But 8?
I think 9 is inevitable. They're gonna do. I mean, if they're gonna do 7 and 8, there's really no reason for them not to do 9, especially because they did Final Fantasy X as well. They did 10 and 10 too. Like, why not do 9?
Those are not really remakes; those are remastered.
Well, you know what I mean.
Spiced up.
They've done something with the games, whether it be a remake or a remaster.
I'm not looking forward to the Final Fantasy remakes.
I mean, Final Fantasy VIII is my least favorite Final Fantasy, and that's a pretty low bar to get over because there's a lot of really bad Final Fantasy games out there.
Yes, and that said, I think that most people agree that Final Fantasy VIII was the weaker one of the 3D games as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, everyone makes jokes about Final Fantasy X and how the whole laughing thing between Yuna and Titus.
That meme.
That it's taken out of context because they were purposely laughing horribly. But in hindsight, Final Fantasy X was still a pretty decent game. I quite enjoyed it when I for the first time. But
I played it back on the PS2, yeah.
Final Fantasy VIII is like, no, thank you.
Yeah, that's another problem I have with Final Fantasy VIII. It wasn't remarkable to me.
The only thing I really remember, there was a long-haired girl with black hair that had an outfit that was primarily black with a blue thing over it, and then you had the main guy that had like a trench coat and a gunblade.
Yeah, Squall, and I think it's like Renoa or something like that.
You even know the names. I don't know the names.
I make it my business to know the names, so I can properly shit all over it.
But yeah, I do expect something to see from the Final Fantasy VII remake. I'm not excited about it at all. I mean, it's gonna be episodic, so I don't care. Yeah. I really don't.
Maybe in like 6 or 7 years down the line when they're finally done and they put it all together for like $20, I'll pick it up and play it, but...
Pick it up when we're 40.
I mean, like, shit, assuming I'm alive, who knows, man? Who even knows?
Well, that took a dark turn.
It's all about morbidity at the Chunky Beef streaming experience.
Yeah, but other than that, no, I don't really expect much from this year's E3.
Yeah, my hopes aren't super high either. Like, just based on what I've seen from the leaks so far, like, if it's even remotely close to what the leaks are saying, which I wouldn't be surprised anymore.
Leaks tend to be very accurate these days.
Yeah.
When it comes to gaming.
Yeah. So, like, my hopes aren't super high. Like, what I've seen has just been, like, Like, I'll watch it to see if I was wrong in my E3 leaks video. Because I'm a big enough man to admit when I'm wrong and do so publicly. So I'm interested to see, but at the same time, I'm not super enthusiastic about it. Like every year, most of my interest is on Nintendo to see what they're doing, because that's just what I grew up with. So
I mean, I hope to be pleasantly surprised by something, but I'm not expecting.
I mean, I'm even expecting the Smash reveals to be disappointing.
Well, people have been hyping up about Goku being an extra character for Smash, but I don't see that happening.
That'll never happen. No.
Cause that's instant win for everyone that plays Goku.
I mean, like, to be completely fair, if they really wanted to put asses in seats, they announced somebody like Banjo-Kazooie. Like, something completely left field that nobody would ever expect. They did that with Pac-Man. They did that with Mega Man. They did that with Wii Fit Trainer. It seems like all the left field Smash reveals at E3s have always been those left field ones that like get people to sit up and take interest.
Yeah, because they have had Sega already, their competitive rival with Sonic. They even included Snake from Metal Gear, because back then you also had Metal Gear on the GameCube. So something from Microsoft, like that's now under Microsoft at least, like Banjo-Kazooie, that would be really left field, and that would be quite a shocker to see, actually.
That just seems that's really literally the only thing that I can think of that they could possibly announce that would have the sort of hype and influence behind it as like Mega Man or Sonic. Like Sonic got announced outside of E3 because it was kind of late in Brawl's development that he got put in. So they announced him on the website, the Smash Dojo. So it didn't have really the same kind of hype behind it as like Mega Man did. Like they announced Mega Man and people just exploded. They just fucking exploded.
I think the same will happen if they announce Zero or Mega Man X. If they announce one of those two characters or both, you'll see the same hype and fanboys squealing.
I don't know. Like I expect to have Mega Man in the Smash Switch. So I don't see them doing a second character, because I mean, like, they didn't give a second character to Sega. They didn't give a second character to Square Enix or
Who else were you gonna get? Knuckles? Tails?
No, I mean, yeah, there's a ton of characters that they could pick from any of these companies, and they just kind of picked the ones that people knew the most, like the forerunners of their franchise. Like, everybody recognizes Sonic, everybody recognizes Ryu, everybody recognizes I wouldn't say Bayonetta, but definitely Cloud Strife for sure. Like, you know, everybody recognizes Pac-Man. So, you know, they're not going to give them second characters, in my opinion.
No, but personally said, for me, Sonic's inclusion in the Smash series will always be the peak of a surprise character of a rival company, because Sega and Nintendo go way back. So,
in terms of rival companies, absolutely, I agree with you 100%. But I disagree with you in terms of biggest shock. I think that was Snake. It will forever be Snake. Not Snake. Even Bayonetta could.
I fully agree with you there.
Yep.
And I kind of expect Bayonetta. Is Bayonetta in the game?
She was in the last one, Smash 4. So, I mean, I expect everybody that was in Smash 4 to come back for Smash 5. Because everything that I can see says that they're just going to port everything over, and then they're going to give it a fresh coat of paint, and then try to add in new content on top of that.
Yeah. For Bayonetta, I expect nothing less, because Bayonetta is basically Nintendo exclusive lately. So
almost.
Well, you have the Bayonetta 1 on PC and on the other consoles.
Mm-hmm.
But Bayonetta 2 is only on Switch, only on the Nintendo, and apparently they're coming with Bayonetta 3 for the Switch. So
yeah, I was gonna say that too.
Unless those two games will come out on PC, yeah, I'm pretty sure that Bayonetta is going to be more Nintendo exclusive.
I'd be shocked if Bayonetta wasn't. If she didn't come back for Smash Switch. Well, I mean, that's everything on the docket, man. I think that's everything we need to talk about.
Now, I recall you had a little topic about the Battlefield controversy.
Do you want to talk about that?
I mean, it's kind of silly, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, well, it is kind of silly. I mean, I kind of see where they're coming from, but at the same time, like, I'm the kind of person who thinks that that's not that big a deal to me. Like, because for those who aren't aware of what the Battlefield 5 controversy is, like, if a lot of people are arguing that there's forced diversity in it, because there's going to be women soldiers, and there's going to be like crippled soldiers in there as well. Like, the woman in the trailer had like a prosthesis, which, you know, it's not a big deal to me, so long as they you know, if they put something impactful, something meaningful into Battlefield 5 to, you know, to differentiate. Like, they don't have to make it like a class-based shooter, but like, if you decide to be like a female, like, why not be a little bit faster, a little bit harder to hit, you know, but the males are a little bit slower, a little bit tougher, you know, something meaningful, instead of just, it's like, okay, well, one looks like a female and one looks like a male.
Which, you know, that's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously what's gonna happen, but
I mean, the most of the complaints were that, well, we have a woman on the cover with a prosthetic limb, and most of the complaints were on that. I recall that one of the Medal of Honor games had a female on the cover, and no one cried tears then, but years have changed, and everything is SJW this, SJW that. So I do agree that people are whining a little bit too much about the whole forced diversity thing. I really don't think it's that bad, but on the other hand, I do expect Battlefield to kind of fuck it up. I just don't. I hope that it doesn't become like the new Ghostbusters 2006 controversy with the whole forced feminism whole thing that movie had. Like, oh dear God.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of people's argument in terms of that. They just feel like it's being thrust upon them, and and one side is like, well, I don't like it, and the other side is like, well, you're a bigot and you should and you should like it, etc., etc. It's a clusterfuck for sure.
And part of me thinks that this is purposely done to rile up the people so that other people will buy it out of deviance and go against the people that are bitching about it. But
yeah, I mean, to me, ultimately, I'm the kind of person who's like, well, I mean, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to me. It just do what you want as long as the game is good. That's all that matters.
I mean, I for one enjoy having a strong woman as a protagonist in a game, but
yeah, I grew up with strong female protagonists. I mean, look at Samus, for example.
Samus, Lara
Croft, yeah, that's another good example.
And movie-wise, you had like Ripley and Ripley.
Ripley was the female protagonist. I wasn't prepared to really talk about it, but it's not like when I was growing up, it wasn't like they were. It's not like it was rare for us to have female protagonists in entertainment mediums.
No, but nowadays it feels like whenever that happens, it has double meanings, and there's stuff behind it that's forced and whatever. And in some cases, yeah, I agree. Let's look at the Ghostbusters 2016 movie. Sony was really hard on writing that feminist theme with the whole movie. Like, they even had a male secretary that was a dumb blonde.
Yeah, it was God, what was his name? It's the dude that played Thor in the Marvel movies. I can't remember his name now. Like, I want to say Chris Evans, but I know that's Captain America. I think it's another.
That's Captain America.
Yeah, it was another. I think they have a billion Chris's there, and I get them all mixed up because they have Chris Pratt as Star-Lord. Yeah. But I just can't remember. Like, see, now I have to look that shit up.
But to come down on a point, that was really forced, and I know that a lot of people didn't like the Ghostbusters movie as well. It was a train wreck.
I watched it. I didn't think it was that bad, but I could see where a lot of the complaints were coming from.
Yeah, I could see that too, and I refused to get it. So there, but.
Chris Hemsworth, that's the name.
Chris Hemsworth, yeah, that's the name.
They have too many Chris's.
They really do. And then you have Robert Downey Jr.
And Robert Downey Jr. as the odd man out.
Well, that and Tom Holland's, the one that plays Spider-Man.
He's a good Spider-Man, though.
He's probably the best Spider-Man. I mean, movie-wise, Tobey Maguire was definitely the best Peter Parker back then, because he really had that geeky look that Peter had in the early comics. Then with the Amazing Spider-Man, you had the better Spider-Man, but the actor that portrayed Spider-Man was this pretty boy that, no.
Yeah. Which is interesting because the way they wrote Tom Holland and the way Tom Holland looks as Peter Parker and Spider-Man Homecoming and Avengers 4, he feels like the perfect Spider-Man because he's witty and he's wisecracking when he's as Spider-Man, but then he's like that awkward teenage, like high school teenager when he's not Spider-Man, and it's perfect.
It's just a perfect match. And
I love it.
that's something that the Marvel movies have been doing, is like finding these actors that are perfect for the portrayal of their characters.
Right.
Like, would you expect anyone else playing Logan or Iron Man?
I mean, in terms of Logan, God, I'm so bad with names. I can't even remember what the. I can't remember. God, it's been so long. I feel like I should know. God damn it.
It's on the tip of my tongue, but
Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman. Yeah.
I was first.
Jesus, it's been so long. I feel like I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just too tired.
I could potentially see someone portray Wolverine other than Hugh Jackman, but when it comes down to Tony Stark, it has to be Robert Downey Jr. I don't see anyone else.
Well, in terms of Wolverine and Hugh Jackman, it's kind of a case of just like the familiarity of the character. Like if you think back to like the original X-Men, he portrayed the character really well, but I don't really feel like he fit the role that well. Like they just kept bringing him back over and over again because he just kept accepting the roles. So it's always been Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, and now you're in a position where you don't think anybody else could play the role. It's just, again, it's the same thing for Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans as Captain America.
Yeah, and that's also a thing with Wolverine in general. Wolverine is just the flagship of X-Men. It's like, if you mention X-Men, you'll mention Wolverine at one point.
I mean, I'd even go so far as to say that X-Men is synonymous with Wolverine. Like, he's...
It pretty much is. I mean, one of the cartoons was pretty much named Wolverine and the X-Men. Like, Wolverine was the titular character, and then you had the X-Men, like, starring the X-Men.
Right. It's Wolverine and his bitches. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Travel back a little bit on Battlefield. I think people should hold their judgment until they actually seen the game and played it, and until we actually know how much forced, between quotation marks, it actually is.
And you'd be surprised how controversial that opinion is too, because I suggested in my Thundercats Roar video, I was like, well, why don't we wait till it comes out and then formulate our own opinions, like look at it objectively and judge it by its own merits. And that turned out to be a huge controversy for people. Like, it's one of my most popular videos outside of like Subnautica, which for some reason has like almost 1,900 views. I have no idea how or why. But
in the terms of Thundercats Roar, I can totally understand why people are so worked up about it. I mean, I pretty much despised it too when I originally saw the first trailer and the art style of it. It's like, this is not my Thundercats. Yeah, my main issue with Thundercats Roar is primarily the art style, and I've known to not judge cartoons by the art style, like Transformers Go. No, not Transformers Go. Why did
Transformers Go? You mean like Teen Titans Go? Is that what you're...
Yes, because Transformers Animated was made by the same artist that made Teen Titans Go. And back when I saw the original art for Transformers Animated, I was like, why does this looks like crap? Why? But then I ended up watching the show, and it was probably one of the best Transformers shows that I've seen back then, until Prime came along, but that's a different story.
Boy.
So I know not to judge a show by its appearance. I mean, shows like Gumball and Gravity Falls that use the same kind of art style as Steven Universe apparently really have good stories. Mm-hmm. I don't watch them, but hey, I can't judge that. So, but the thing is, with Thundercats, you do not expect it to look like that.
Right.
And I feel that it's more like the Teen Titans thing, like you had the actual good Teen Titans show, and then you suddenly had this mismangled version of it that was for reasons changed, that they even poke fun of it, that the previous one was better, and why? So I really fear that it's going to be like, well, just like Teen Titans, like we had a better show, but Cartoon Network canceled it, and we get this in return for it. Mm-hmm. I really feel that it's gonna be a thing like that, but we'll see. I mean, who knows?
I mean, I still think it's worth, looking at it objectively and deciding how good the show is based on its own merits. Like, so many people kind of have that knee-jerk reaction, and they're like, God, this looks awful. And I'm like, yeah, I agree with you, but, give it a shot. It might be good. It might be another Gumball or Gravity Falls.
I still think it's awful, but I will legit watch the first episode. I will give it a try. But
yeah, I'll give it a shot.
I'm really worried that it's not going to be great. But we'll see.
All right, I think it's time to wrap this up because, like I said, we're getting close to 2 hours now, so it's gonna be a lot to listen to.
I feel sorry for your PC to have to render this.
Yeah, it won't be too bad, but I mean, shoot, who knows? Maybe it's gonna be 2 hours of rendering at least. I'll put some pretty pictures there, and it'll be like a collage, like a slideshow. My dog wants to bark so bad. Would you relax? Oh my god.
That's what dogs do. Bark.
Yeah, something's upset her. I think she had a nightmare. But anyway, so I think that's gonna be it for us today. I'm Chunky Beef, and this is Nighthawk.
I'm Nighthawk.
Yep, Nighthawk with zeros and X's. I'll put a link to their YouTube in the description below, and you guys can go check him out. He's got some cool gameplay footage. You should definitely go watch. But we'll see how this does, and we'll plan future podcasts around that.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably
say goodbye.
after the E3.
probably during or after E3 for sure.
Yeah, most likely. But in the meantime, take care, folks.
All right. Take it easy, fellas.
Bye.
Bye.